Ah yes, the scripture foretold of this day, the day that the great Titan would rise once again to continue his work on this here earth, stampeding through the world so that his ways would not be lost to time, as the teachings of so many before him had. Hi again, Crabs, and welcome back to The Strange Time, that weird thing we're in right now. And as if to only make our lives feel even more uprooted than they previously were, the living embodiment of yeast, Leafy, has once again risen. He's been making his big schmeedy strides across the landscape of the planet, leaving Oklahoma mansion-sized shockwaves across the community in the wake of his footsteps. The metaphorical foot in this case being a 30-second video titled iDubbbz. But speaking of 30 seconds, we're at about that timestamp in this here video. So right about now is when I tell you that almost half of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to my YouTube channel. Not very epic of you. You may right your wrongs right now by liking the video, subscribing to Kwite, and turning on notifications so as to not miss a video in the future. Now that you've done what I said to do, we can get into the not so meaty at all contents of this half-a-minute long video. It's like I'm trying to eat the pickings off of an already devoured chicken wing. But basically, with the title of that video being iDubbbz, you probably guessed that the video was about iDubbbz. And you're right! In his most recent video, Mr. Dubbz TV had a message.
I love my girlfriend, and I'm totally fine with dudes jacking off to pictures of her on the internet.
And Leafy has a response.
Dude, you're a fucking cuck.
Okay, so technically the clip used in the Leafy video from iDubbbz's video wasn't the dudes jacking off to my girlfriend clip. It was a bit where Ian said that he was okay with the website OnlyFans and everything you're able to post to it.
I think all of it is cool.
But you understand the implication of what Leafy was saying and what wider thing it was in regards to, okay? For those of you unaware, the situation that brought about all this and was apparently cataclysmic enough to raise Leafy from the dead was this kerfuffle that iDubbbz has found himself on the getting shat in the mouth end of. Weird seeing him in that position. Where basically his girlfriend started a lewd OnlyFans, which has led to people calling iDubbbz a simp for being in support of it. But that three-legged stool of a situation is not what I'm personally here for. I'm here to figure out what Leafy wants and what that little rat is planning on doing next. And it seems like myself and more than a few others have found themselves in the position of, what the H-man is going on, dude? What does Leafy's return mean for the platform, if anything at all? And how will Leafy go about his new conquest? Now that he's front and center in the spotlight with his 1 million view McGee video being his first upload in 3 odd years, what's he gonna do? Well, we actually got an answer to some of these questions, as Leafy went for an interview on Drama Alert with his former arch nemesis Keemstar. They had a discussion about a variety of stuff, and here are some of the pieces of info that I found personally interesting or of note. Feel free to watch the whole thing if you're interested. The interview is mostly light and jovial. It's nice and warm like how I feel after bathing in thermite, and the two were bantering back and forth during the video, with Keem asking plenty of joke questions. One of the first things we hear is President Calvin Coolidge lamenting about his time in quarantine, aka right now.
I was at the grocery store. I ran out of fucking toilet paper.
Did you end up getting any toilet paper?
Nah, man, I'm using paper towels right now.
And I think it was hearing that made me truly realize, holy shit, Leafy's not dead. That this whole time, he has been a person existing at the same time as us, and that he didn't actually become a corpse upon stoppage of uploads. For whatever reason, the thought of Leafy in quarantine is the oddest thing to my brain since the concept of self-worth. For context to this next one, back in 2016, around the era of the Leafy content cop, one of the biggest things that Leafy was getting clowned on was what some people said was, quote, dog shit editing. And that's getting brought up again now that he's returned, because the short little video he posted had a goddamn Sony Vegas trial version watermark on it.
Look at the Vegas Pro watermark.
Has it really been 4 years? And my guy's a multi-millionaire and he still doesn't know how to edit a video?
After it was seared into the rendering of the video, it was seared into our minds next. Funnily enough, the use of trial Sony Vegas, Leafy says, is the reason that the video was 30 seconds long, because that's the max length of video you're allowed to render on the Sony Vegas trial. And that is just the most poetic parameter I think you can set.
The trial version of Sony Vegas only allows you to render like 30 seconds, so it's like...
It's fitting that Leafy's return comes off the back of a shitpost he probably made on a whim while zonked out of his mind. Farting into the microphone and uploading it is kind of my dream YouTube scenario as well though, so I do respect the mindset. Other interesting things from the interview include Leafy saying that he absolutely does not plan to come back to the website, saying that he would instead become the next big thing on MySpace. While he did specifically say that he wasn't coming back, he clarified that he may return for fun, but definitely not as the daily uploader he once was, citing getting burnt out by it so fast past, and in addition, he also said that part of his lack of motivation to come back is the litany of demonetization icons and copyright claims he says that he has on all of his videos that are up. Keemstar had a helpful suggestion by recommending selling merch as a way of making money from it.
Dude, a lot of YouTubers in 2020 aren't even making YouTube videos for YouTube money. They're making money from selling shirts and all this other stuff.
And because he said that, I would like to use this opportunity to implore you to go to massedup.shop. Right now, we are in the last week that you can buy the current designs in the store, Masked Up Drop 2. After this, these designs very well may be gone forever, so if you like what you see, be sure to cop soon. Want to get your Masked Up clothing? That's massedup.shop. Massedup.shop. Now, of course, everything Leafy is saying could be part of a very calculated play, one that he's had in the works for years, ever since he turned his big burly toes away from YouTube and walked in the opposite direction of the site, with this thing here potentially being only a sliver of what he's concocted. But what do we know about what Leafy's been up to between now and his original departure? Well, the interview he did yesterday is only one of several Drama Alert appearances Leafy has made in the last few years, the first of which being a 20-minute interview he did with Keemstar back in 2018 on what he'd been up to. As far as I'm aware, back in the day, it was the biggest amount of insight we had gotten into what Leafy was doing in his life. I believe that was the first time we'd heard from him in ages. The other appearance he had, and the one that was more recent, was when during an interview with Nikocado Avocado, Keemstar brought Leafy into the fold. Perhaps if only to say that he brought Leafy into the fold. During the interview, Leafy jokes about having the coronavirus and infecting as many people as he can, keeping it a consistent bit throughout the portion of the video he's in, perhaps being a part of Leafy's general tendency to just not give a single flying fuck about what he's doing.
Your #1 fan, but before I get into that, I gotta say that I do have the coronavirus. If I'm being honest right now, I will be trying my best to infect as many people as I possibly can before I eventually get demonetized IRL.
Every single appearance Leafy has made on Drama Alert feels like something he did for us and the entertainment value of it, as much, if not more as it does, something that he's doing for himself because it's really goddamn funny to him. And honestly, live your life, homie. Get that shit poppin'. Now, some people probably wonder how he was getting by that whole time he was away. Some people think that Leafy lived with his parents and was just chillin'. Others are of the line of thinking that the money he made on YouTube alone probably set him up for life, and he's hanging out with all that as a mattress to sleep on. But the most prevailing theory that I've heard, that I have seen no evidence for, and could be total bullshit, but that I want to believe is true because of how fucking funny it is that before Bitcoin crashed and burned like Chris Brown does when you ask him not to hit a woman for 5 seconds, legend has it that Leafy took his YouTube earnings and shoved them into crypto and got out before everything tanked. Like I said, no idea if that's true, I just really want it to be, so take it with some healthy skepticism. Now, with the second surfacing of Leafy, so have surfaced some images of him that I have never seen before. And Leafy images are a rare commodity, especially in these times. Perhaps the images are new, perhaps they're old, but they are all ones that I hadn't seen until yesterday. And because of this, I would like to share my thoughts on them with you, as any good firearms salesman would. This first one is from the thumbnail of the Drama Alert interview, where Leafy has very clearly chosen to cramp my style, just like every one of you dumb whores who has been for the last few weeks. He's wearing my goddamn mask! It's not cool, brother. Consider yourself on the pulverization list. It's a list I just made of people I want to pulverize. Population? You, buddy! Next we have this image. A pretty standard picture of Leafy in the usual habitat of his bedroom, one where it appears my man has cut some of his hair, and he's looking more like his profile picture than ever. Now that dries up the wells of pictures I've seen of him, but the one thing that I've mentioned a lot in this video without showing it a whole bunch was the community reaction to Leafy's debatably triumphant return. And if you haven't figured it out from me literally saying it in this video, you hopeless worm, the reaction was big. The influencer types all had their 1 to 2 sentence tweet about it. Unfortunately, I cannot say myself included in this case. Missed out on free Twitter likes, I'll never be caught lacking again. But all of the responses were somewhere on the spectrum of holy shit that happened, with Diesel saying that the upload of a Leafy video was a sign of the end times, as written in the Book of Revelations. Now, jokes aside, with the information we have, it doesn't seem like Leafy is planning on making some grand and full return to YouTube. In fact, I don't think he has a plan at all. But I mean, really, why would he need to? Like I said, everything about what he's doing these days feels so casual. His return video was cobbled together and is held in place by thick and viscous loogies. His appearances on Drama Alert were sometimes for the most random shit. I think he's really just doing whatever he wants in any given moment to have some fun. And personally, I wouldn't mind having him back. Even if it's only as someone who's kind of passively lurking or commenting, the reason I'd be down to have him back is because I find his perspective interesting. The vantage point with which Leafy finds himself is incredibly unique. I've always been intrigued with that type of thought experiment where I've always been intrigued by that kind of thought experiment where what if somebody like the founding fathers came to the modern day? What would they think of how everything's changed? And I feel like on some level, Leafy is a microcosm of that in relation to the commentary community. It is a community that Leafy in some ways helped birth. Some curious part of me really wants to know what Leafy makes of everything that the community's about these days. How does he feel that someone like Cody Ko, a former Viner, is now at the top of the pack? How does he feel about the wildly changed demographic of the content type that he at one point pioneered? How does he feel about the content type evolving well past what he did with it? What does he think has stayed the same? He might not have any strong feelings on any of these topics, but I think even something like that's kind of neat. That a founding pillar to a community so hellish like him is so open to the winds of change. Or if not open to him, that at the very least he doesn't give a shit about them. Either way, Leafy's back and he's gonna vacuum up all my subscribers whether I like it or not. Let's just hope that he's a merciful ruler as we march forward into this new era. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications on. That would be pretty epic, I'm not gonna lie. Remember, on massedup.shop, this is the last week you can get designs from Drop 2, so cop them when you can before it's gone forever over at massedup.shop. You can follow me on Twitter at Kwite, on Instagram at Kwite.png, and on TikTok at Kwite TikTok. This has been Kwite, and I will see you guys next time.